Hi, I'm David Barnett. You almost certainly will remember me from BBC Television's The Sunday Show, when in an episode from, if I'm not mistaken, the 13th of August 1996, I was featured chatting amicably with one of my great showbiz chums, Mark Ammond. I was there as part of a featurette on the then fledgling Romo scene, a minor scene of people who like to dress up like twats. They were very keen, the Romos, to differentiate themselves from the original New Romantic scene. They did this by dancing to New Romantic records, wearing New Romantic clothes, and making their own music that sounded exactly the same as New Romantic bands. They also further differentiated themselves by, rather than use the term New Romantic, chose the term Romo, which was short, I believe, for Romantic Modernism. Obviously completely different, and it baffles me as to why anyone could confuse the two. As well as myself and Mark, and many other luminaries of the scene were featured in this documentary, including Plastic Fantastic, sensitive music journalist Simon Price, Tim and Dickon from Orlando, the bloke from Sexus, and Zav from Dex Dexter. Zav, of course, went on to modest success by starring in Ewan McGregor's film Velvet Goldmine, and also becoming the keyboard player with Placebo, while the others didn't. But as well as being a trendsetter, zeitgeist ideator, friend of the stars, television star, and fashion icon, I'm first and foremost a runner. Welcome to this week's episode of David Barnett's Great British Parkrun Journeys. Hi. In today's episode of David Barnett's Great British Parkrun Journeys, the journeys I've been making is to Gladstone Park in Dollist Hill in the London borough of Brent in northwest London. Gladstone Park, as you may have guessed, named after the great Liberal politician, political giant William Gladstone, 4 times Prime Minister in the 19th century. And it looks like we've found it. Hi, I'm David Barnett, talking to you from the finish line at Gladstone Park Parkrun in Dollist Hill in the London borough of Brent, and you can still see a few of the amateur fun runners finishing some way behind me there. Gladstone Park, a very beautiful parkrun, if a little tricky. The finish line, fortunately, is at the bottom of a hill. However, much of the course is uphill. Nevertheless, very varied, sweeping, undulating landscape with some magnificent views of London. You can see Wembley Stadium and various other famous landmarks. In fact, let's go and have a look at them shortly. First, maybe let's see what the locals here make of Gladstone Park and Gladstone Parkrun. Hi, excuse me, you probably know me. I'm David Barnett. You probably know me from David Barnett's Great British Parkrun Journeys.
I do, I certainly do.
Cool. Could I just ask what it is about parkrun that makes people get up at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning when they could be having a nice lie-in?
That's that question. No.
No, I couldn't ask you that. And tell me, do you know anything about the history of Gladstone Park itself?
Yes, there was a Prime Minister, Gladstone, I think, and he lived in a house at the top of the hill somewhere over there. and he named the park, and I don't know. I think it was one of. It's been a favourite park of many prime ministers, I think. So
fantastic. That's very nearly correct. I've been doing some research myself. In fact, it was the Earl of Aberdeen who lived in Dulles House at the top of the hill. But William Gladstone, you're correct, was a regular visitor, and the park was named after him. And also another regular visitor was none other than Mark Twain. Who wrote Tom Sawyer, obviously. Well, thanks very much.
Did you know there was one interesting fact?
Here we go.
There was a big Lido in Gladstone Park up until 20, 30 years ago.
Fantastic, and I believe there was vegetable gardens and all sorts, wasn't there?
I think so, yeah. It was a hive of activity, but they've taken it all away now.
Well, there you go. Who would have thought there'd be so much to know about Gladstone Park? Let's maybe go and take a look at the remains of Dulles House now. See you after the break. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi, I'm David Barnett, talking to you from the remains of what used to be Dulles House in Dulles Park Hills, Gladstone Park. Known as Gladstone Park, of course, as we now know, because a favourite resident of Dulles House was none other than the great Liberal Prime Minister William Gladstone himself. The grounds now turned into pleasure gardens, or a plaisance. Now, just out of sight, over the trees behind me, is another very famous historical building of great significance. The old post office building is now, like so much of London, turned into unaffordable housing. But some 70 years ago, it was here that they made the computer Colossus, I believe it was called, that helped the scientists and boffins of Bletchley Park crack the Enigma code and probably change the very course of the war. Hi. Now, the London Borough of Brent has an astonishing 92 green spaces. Yet of these 92 green spaces, it's Gladstone Park that's the most used of all. And it's really not difficult to see why. As well as the plaisance we've seen, it has a cafe, lavatorial facilities, a playground, playing fields, and of course, a park run. So that really brings us to the end of this week's Great British Parkrun journey. I hope you've enjoyed this journey to the wonderfully green Gladstone Park as much as I have. Until next week, bye-bye.
Wanstead Flats, named after the famous flats behind me, was going to be called Wanstead Prefabricated Flats, but they decided that was too much of a mouthful. I'm here having done the park run, David. Very pleasant run, mostly on soil and leaves and puddles, but fairly dry today, reminiscent of the world famous Hackney Marshes course in many ways. Two-lapper, public transport access very adequate. Yes, and yeah, I wonder where you are today, because you were supposed to be at my house last night for a curry. You never showed. Just saying. Bye.